Happy Monday. I have an amazing story. This is one of my very favorites. And it comes from the book of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and is a life lesson on perseverance, and is something that you can apply to anything in your life. So I hope that you enjoy this story and that you capture the message as much as I have. During the gold rush, a man had been mining in Colorado, and after doing a lot of hard work, he finally found gold. Knowing that there would be a lot more where that came from, he closed the mine and headed home to ask his friends and family to finance him so that he could buy the tools and the machines to extract the rest of the gold. His nephew, R.U. Darby, stepped in, and armed with enough money to buy the tools and machines they needed, the two men headed back to the mine to extract the fortune. They drew out the first load of gold to find that they had stumbled upon one of the richest deposits of gold in Colorado. Excitedly, they plunged on. A few more carts of gold would clear their debts, and the rest would be profit. But after a few more loads came out, they discovered that the gold vein had stopped. They drilled on desperately, but kept coming up with nothing. Finally, after an endless search, they gave up. They sold their machines to a local junk man for a couple of $100 and left for home with not much to show for all their effort. But as with all good stories, there is a twist at the end of this tale. The junk man wasn't as stupid as people thought he was. After Darby and his uncle had left, the junk man called a mining engineer to come and take a look at the mine. After having time to study the mine, the engineer concluded that the only reason the vein had dried up was because of fault lines, and it was obvious that the previous owners did not understand anything about fault lines. So after working out the numbers, the engineer calculated that Darby had stopped drilling only 3 feet from the vein of gold that was worth billions and billions of dollars. So you can imagine who benefited from this. Yes, the junk man, because he had the foresight to get advice from experts and not to give up. So this is a beautiful lesson because it's something that you can apply to your business and also to your personal life, that you have to persevere, and especially in the face of challenges. All too often people stop when they're just so close to achieving their dreams because they either become too difficult or tedious, and circumstances may seem that it is impossible to achieve that. And if they just had pushed a little further and look at things in a different light and different strategies and think a little bit out of the box, they would succeed. And I think this story beautifully illustrates that. And I have a story of my own to share. When we first graduated from our master programs, my ex-husband and I decided that we wanted to build a company, an e-learning company, and we wanted to service the executive MBA markets and unite them and have students come from all over the world. So if you were in China, for example, and you wanted to earn an executive MBA from an American school but couldn't leave the country, now you could do it online through our service. So that was our vision, our grandiose vision, and we figured that the executive MBA market was the best market to go after, because for those of you who may not know, an executive MBA market are the smallest of the MBA programs, and they're the most expensive. And the caliber of students is very high. These are already executives that may want to just upgrade their credentials. So we figured that they were perfect for us because they will be the ones that could afford to pay for our services. So we embarked on this journey And after trying for months and months with no avail, and we just had very few programs signed up, a guy approached us, another MBA student who had graduated, had heard of what we were doing, and he was excited to come and help us. And he was very analytical and very good with numbers, which my ex-husband and I weren't. So we thought it was a good fit, and he believed in us, and he was willing to work for free. So perfect. And all he wanted was to have ownership in the company. So we were kids and naive, and so we said, sure, why not? It was nice to have someone that believed in our concept. So we were pretty desperate, and we have him join the company. And then months and months passed, and it was so difficult. He came up to us, and let's name him Joe. Joe said, I've done the numbers, I've done projections for the next 5 years, 10 years, and based on the market, the readiness of the market for this concept, and based on the amount of students in each program, and based on our economic model, there is no way that we will ever be able to make the kind of living that we want, like the three of us. So I think it's best if I leave the company and give up my ownership. And he told us that he had been offered a job at IBM, and he just felt that it was best for him to go. So that same day, he said his goodbyes and signed a release and left. I kid you not, within 10 minutes of Joe having left the office, the phone rang. And that was bizarre. It was unusual at that time for our office phones to ring. So my ex-husband, Jeffrey, picked up, and it was the dean from Colorado State University. They had an MBA program, and we had been going all over the US on our pony show, talking about our services, and I guess he was in one of the presentations that we did. And so he called, and a conversation went something like this. Hi, I'm Bannett. I am the dean from Colorado State. I understand that you're doing this for MBA programs. Our program is very small, but I have been leading the charge of distance learning at CSU for a very long time, and we have one of the largest continuing education departments. And for those of you who might remember, in the old days, distance education was through correspondence. So if you wanted to earn a degree, you would get your books and materials in the mail, then you would do your assignments, and then we ship them back in the mail. And if your assignment got lost or you didn't get the information on time, you were out of luck. So it was a tedious process for them. So the dean said, what do you say if we do a pilot? I will give you a certain amount of students from my MBA program, and we're gonna take a certain amount of students from the continuing education department, and make this a go and see how you perform. You're young, your service isn't proven yet, but I can see your hunger and your passion, and I think that you're gonna work hard for me because I can be a very good reference for you. Now, up to that point, Jeffrey and I had never realized that there was a massive universe out there. Yet we were so narrow focused on the executive MBA market that we didn't realize that. Just to give you an example, an executive MBA program may have 100 students versus a continuing education department at a school could have thousands and thousands of students. So Joe left because he based his decision on our current focus, on our current market and our current economic model. And then we were gifted with this surprise that all we had to do was look 3 feet to the right, just like in the story. The guy quit 3 feet from goal, and we were just about to do that. Because the continuing education departments is for us the vein of gold that was literally 3 feet from us focusing on the executive MBA market. And so we went on to service CSU, and we had a beautiful relationship, and we continued to grow with them. And what happens is Colorado State was so admired by other universities for their continuing education departments and their distance learning that the minute they heard that they had hired these 2 kids from Canada, they thought if Colorado is using them, there must be something good and we have to follow. And then our phones began to ring. And to make a long story short, my company went on to really become one of the most profitable and bigger distance learning companies in the US, and all because we didn't give up when we were just 3 feet from goal. So the message here is don't give up. Be tenacious about your dream and believe in it. And even if it's difficult, even if you think it's impossible, maybe you're just missing something that you're not seeing. So consult experts, consult other people, try different angles, different venues, but don't give up because you may just be 3 feet from gold. I hope that you have enjoyed this story. If you have not yet subscribed to my storytelling channel, please do so you never miss another episode from transforming your life through storytelling. I will see you next week. Take care.